In this video, I'm going to teach you the most practical theory concept you can learn in guitar that can help you navigate the fretboard, understand chord progressions, improvise. It'll help with ear training. I'm telling you, it's one of the most important theory concepts you have to understand, especially if you want to start understanding the more advanced theory concepts and just get better at guitar in general. I recorded this video last night, but I just wanted to redo the intro here and explain that understanding this concept and memorizing it will make you a better player. Students are always asking me, what's the main theory concept they need to understand to get better at guitar? It's this. This is going to make you better. So watch the video to the end, and if you have any questions, let me know below. One of the most practical theory concepts that can help your playing tremendously is understanding the structure of the major scale. The major scale is like the foundation of all music, and it follows a very specific pattern of intervals. Intervals are just the spaces between the notes, and memorizing this pattern can help you navigate your fretboard more effectively so you can melodically move in and out of shapes. Not to mention, it'll help you understand chord construction, modes, keys, tension, and ear training. You really got to know your major scale. So I'll play you what it sounds like, and then I'm going to show you the pattern. So here's a pattern starting from that first note. It's going to be whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. One more time. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. This pattern remains consistent no matter which key you're in. So that was in G, and here it is in E. And here it is in C. So how is this helpful to you? Well, if you're stuck in a certain position on your guitar, you can now melodically move through the major scale notes to get to different positions. I'll show you an example. If I'm stuck in this area, in the 3rd fret area playing around, I can now move through my scale notes to get to my other area, and it'll sound melodic compared to just jumping around to different positions. Let's say I'm stuck in this area and I want to get to the pentatonic scale on the 12th fret. I'm just going to move up my major scale notes. Now I'm here. That was starting just in the first note of the scale, but once you know this pattern, it doesn't matter what note of the scale you start on, you'll always know what notes are around you to play. For example, if I'm stuck on the 7th fret, for example, and I know that's the 3rd note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, I know the pattern now, so I can either descend down those notes to get to a different positions, or I can ascend to different positions higher up the fretboard. And all of that was just on one string. You want to get to the point where you learn the major scale pattern on every single one of the strings relative to whatever key you're in. So for example, if we're in the key of G, which is what we were practicing in so far, the 5th note of that scale is D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's D, and the note right above our first note on the next string is also D. So I know D is the 5th note in my scale, and I know the rest of the pattern from that 5th position because I know it's just whole, whole, half. I can do that same thing on that B string now, starting from that D note. And now I'm back on 1. I already know my pattern starting from 1 because we learned it from here. So I can now repeat that starting on this note. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now I know all the notes of the major scale in the key of G on both the B and the E strings, and I can improvise with that. Let's try it on the next string. If we go to the G string, that note above doesn't exist in the key of G, which we've been practicing in so far. So this note right here would be this note, which we don't have in our pattern. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down 1 fret. So we're going to go back here, move it down 1 fret. Now I know that's the 2nd note in our pattern, and we know that the rest of that scale from here is just whole, half, whole, 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 half, and I can do the same thing now on the G string. And now I'm back at 1, and I know the pattern from 1, so I can keep going. And now I can play the major scale in the key of G on both the E, the B, and the G string. Let's try that out. Now imagine if you learned this pattern on all of the strings. You would have mapped out and learned the entire fretboard, every single note you can hit in the key of G. How cool is that? I'm telling you, everything always comes back to the major scale when it comes to music. Now, The more you practice this, the more ingrained this pattern is going to become, and you'll be able to play it from any note in any key because you won't be thinking in terms of note names or keys. You'll just be thinking in terms of how far apart the notes are. This means you can start playing this pattern from any note on any string all over the fretboard and in any key and still find your way around the fretboard easily. I'll give you a quick example to prove this. I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to choose a random note on the guitar, I won't know what that note is, and I'll be able to play that pattern on all the different strings going down and up. Here we go. I'm just going to choose a random note, this note right here. I don't know what note this is because I don't have perfect pitch. And here's my major scale. On the B string, on the G, back to the B, back to the E. We can add a bend. Let's start on the D string, on the A, and on the low E string. What key were we in? Oh, G? No. Key of C. See? Pretty neat. It's just distances from shapes, but I've practiced this so much that I just know where to move. Now, it's going to take a while to master this concept to the point where you can easily map out the entire fretboard like I just did, but understanding this pattern of the major scale, which now you know, is going to help you in all areas of theory, songwriting, scales, chords, and a ton of other stuff, and it's the first step to mastering and fully understanding the entire fretboard. Now, before I end this video, here's another practical thing you can use for this. If I map out that scale on the top string starting from G, I can now play power chords starting from each one of those notes. And now if you move that around and improvise, you can come up with your own unique riff. And now you know the importance of the major scale. People always ask me what they should work on first when it comes to music theory. Understanding the major scale pattern and the intervals between all the notes is probably the most important thing you can do when you start out with music theory. If you want more videos like this, plus Q&As with me, monthly coaching calls, personalized feedback on your videos, full access to all of my guitar courses, and the community of other guitar players, click the link in the description to join my exclusive monthly membership for free.